Tesla just downgraded their entire product line, and they're hoping you don't notice. Copper wiring, replacing silver contacts in every vehicle starting next quarter. The excuse? Cost optimization. The reality, they can't source the silver. Copper is 40% less conductive. That means more resistance, more heat, more energy loss, shorter range, slower charging. But Tesla isn't telling you that. They're framing it as an engineering achievement, a strategic pivot. It's not strategy, it's desperation. When the most advanced car company on the planet abandons the best material for the second best material, it's not because they chose to, it's because they couldn't get the first one. The silver market just claimed its first major industrial victim. Tesla bent the knee, and every other automaker is watching and preparing to do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, Asian guy here, let me show you the document they tried to bury. December 18th, 2025, Tesla Engineering Blog. Subsection, Q1 2026 production updates. Third paragraph, fourth bullet point. Material transition. Copper-based electrical contact systems will replace silver alloy contacts in Model Y, Model 3, and Cybertruck platforms effective Q1 2026 production runs. This transition optimizes material costs while maintaining performance standards. Read that sentence again. Optimizes material costs while maintaining performance standards. That's a lie. You don't switch from silver to copper to save money. Silver prices haven't risen enough to make copper cheaper when you factor in the redesign costs. Retooling the entire electrical system, recertifying the components, retraining the assembly workers. That's millions of dollars in transition costs. You don't eat those costs unless you have no choice. And Tesla has no choice because they can't get the silver. Let me show you why this matters. Let me show you the physics they're betting you won't understand. Silver is the most conductive metal on Earth. Electrical conductivity rating, 63 million Siemens per meter. That's the standard. That's the ceiling. Copper, 59 million Siemens per meter. That's 6.3% less conductive. Doesn't sound like much, right? It's just 6%. But in an electrical system moving hundreds of amps at high voltage, 6% matters. That 6% becomes heat. That heat becomes resistance. That resistance becomes inefficiency. Let's put it in terms Tesla owners care about. Range. A Model Y long range with silver contacts. EPA rated 330 miles. With copper contacts, approximately 310 miles. That's a 20-mile loss. That's 6% gone. Charging speed. Silver contacts can handle higher amperage without overheating. Copper contacts can't. Supercharging time increases by approximately 8 to 12 minutes per session because the system has to throttle to prevent thermal damage. Battery life. More resistance means more heat cycling. More heat cycling means faster degradation. The warranty might say 8 years, but the real-world performance drop accelerates. This is an optimization. This is downgrade. And they're doing it anyway because the alternative is not building cars at all. Now let me show you what happened behind the scenes. Let me show you the desperate phone calls that led to this moment. 6 months ago, Tesla's supply chain team realized they had a problem. Their silver suppliers, the refineries that provide the bars for contact manufacturing, started missing deliveries. Not delays, misses, complete failures to ship. Tesla called Asahi. Asahi said, "We're at capacity. We can't increase your allocation." Tesla called Heraeus. Heraeus said, "We're prioritizing long-term contracts. Spot orders are suspended." Tesla called the smaller refineries, the Mexican suppliers, the Chinese processors. Same answer everywhere. No additional capacity, no spot sales. Waitlist only. So Tesla did what any desperate buyer does. They offered premiums. 10% over spot, then 15%, then 20%. And the refineries said, "It's not about price. We don't have the metal to refine. The mines aren't delivering. The recyclers are empty. There's nothing to process." That's when Elon got involved. That's when the calls went from procurement managers to C-suite. Elon personally called the CEOs of the major silver producers, Mexico's Fresnillo, Peru's Buenaventura. And they told him the same thing everyone else did. The metal isn't available. Not at $80, not at $100, not at any price. Because the supply is spoken for. China locked it up. The military locked it up. The solar industry locked it up. And Tesla, despite being one of the most valuable companies in the world, despite Elon's wealth, despite their leverage, got shut out. So they pivoted. Not because they wanted to, because they had to. Now let's talk about what this means for performance. Let's talk about the compromises Tesla is making and hoping the customer doesn't notice. Electrical contacts are everywhere in an EV. Battery management system, inverter, motor controller, charging port, every connection point where high current flows. Silver contacts handle that current with minimal loss. Copper contacts generate heat, so Tesla has to compensate. Thicker wiring to handle the heat, bigger cooling systems to dissipate it, heavier gauge components to reduce the resistance. All of that adds weight. A Model Y with copper-based systems will weigh approximately 35 to 50 kilograms more than the silver-based equivalent. More weight means lower efficiency. Lower efficiency means shorter range. Shorter range means more frequent charging. More frequent charging means faster battery degradation. It's a cascade. One material change ripples through the entire system. And Tesla can't tell you this. They can't admit it. Because if they admit the new cars are worse than the old cars, why would anyone buy the new model? So they frame it as an upgrade. Advanced copper alloy technology. Next generation thermal management. Marketing words that hide the engineering reality. The 2026 Model Y is a worse car than the 2025 Model Y. And Tesla is betting you won't figure it out until after you've signed the purchase agreement. But here's the terrifying part. Tesla isn't alone. Every EV manufacturer on Earth uses silver contacts. Rivian, Lucid, BYD, Volkswagen, GM, Ford. They're all watching what Tesla just did. And they're all facing the same supply crisis. How long before Rivian announces their own material optimization? How long before Ford quietly updates their spec sheets? The answer, they already have. We've been tracking regulatory filings. Rivian submitted an amended parts list to the EPA in November. Copper contacts replacing silver in the R1T electrical system. Effective date, February 2026. Ford filed a similar update for the F-150 Lightning. March 2026 production run. GM hasn't filed yet, but their supplier contracts show reduced silver allocations starting Q2. This isn't one company making a choice. This is an entire industry hitting the same wall. And they're all choosing the same solution. Downgrade the product and hope nobody notices. Let's talk about the demand destruction narrative. Let's talk about what Wall Street is going to say about this. When the headlines finally break, when the media catches on, the story will be EV makers shift to copper, reducing silver demand. And the analysts will write reports. Silver bear market ahead as industrial demand collapses. That's the narrative, that's the spin. But it's backwards. It's completely backwards. Tesla didn't stop using silver because they don't want it. They stopped because they can't get it. Demand isn't falling. Demand is being destroyed by supply failure. If Tesla could source 10 million ounces of silver tomorrow at $80, they'd buy it instantly. They'd switch back to silver in a heartbeat. Because silver is better. Silver makes a better car. But they can't get it, so they're settling for copper. This isn't demand destruction. This is demand surrender. And when you see demand surrender in a market, when the buyers give up, not because they don't want it, but because they can't obtain it, that's not bearish. That's the most bullish signal possible. Because it proves the shortage is real. It proves the tightness isn't hype. It proves the deficit has moved from spreadsheets into the real world. Now, let's talk about the green revolution. Let's talk about the political implications of this surrender. Governments around the world have mandated EV adoption. California, 100% zero-emission vehicles by 2035. EU, ban on internal combustion engines by 2035. China, 40% EV market share by 2030. These mandates assume unlimited supply of critical materials. They assume the silver will be there when you need it. Tesla just proved that assumption is false. If the largest EV manufacturer can't source silver, how are the smaller players going to manage? How is the global fleet going to transition when the key component is unavailable? Answer, it's not. The EV mandates are dead. They're mathematically impossible. You can't build 50 million EVs per year when there's only 25 million ounces of available silver, and each vehicle needs 1 kilogram. The governments haven't admitted it yet. The politicians are still giving speeches about the green transition. But the engineers know, the supply chain managers know. The mandates will be quietly delayed. 2035 becomes 2040. 2040 becomes 2050. The targets get pushed further into the future until everyone forgets they existed. Tesla's copper switch is the first domino. The admission that the plan doesn't work, that the resources aren't there, that the vision collided with geology and geology won. Let me show you the investor's dilemma. Let me show you why this moment is so critical. On the surface, Tesla switching to copper looks bearish for silver. One less industrial user, demand falling, price should drop. But dig deeper. Ask the right question, why did they switch? Because they couldn't get the silver, which means someone else got it, which means the supply is so tight that even Elon Musk with infinite capital got outbid. Who outbid him? China, the military, the solar industry, the entities that absolutely must have silver and will pay any price. That's where the silver is going, to the buyers who can't compromise, to the applications where copper isn't good enough. Defense systems, radar, missile guidance. You can't use copper in a hypersonic weapon system. Silver only. Advanced solar, perovskite cells. Next generation efficiency. Copper doesn't work. Silver only. Medical devices, antibacterial coatings. Life critical equipment. Silver only. The flexible demand, the demand that can switch to copper, is exiting the market. Tesla, consumer EVs, consumer electronics. What's left is the inflexible demand, the demand that has to have silver no matter what. And that demand is growing. And while the flexible demand steps aside, this isn't bearish. This is the market separating the critical users from the optional users. And the critical users are absorbing all the supply. Now let's talk about the cascade. Let's talk about what happens after EVs switch to copper. Solar panels. Right now, they use 20 grams of silver per panel. But the new high-efficiency panels, the TOPCon and HJT cells, they need 30 grams. What if solar manufacturers do the same thing Tesla just did? What if they say, we can't get the silver, so we're going back to the old low-efficiency cells? That's a 30% performance hit. Your solar array produces 30% less power. Your payback period extends by years. The economics collapse. Or smartphones. Every phone has silver in the circuitry. Switch to copper and you get worse signal quality, slower data speeds, more heat, or medical equipment. Silver-coated catheters prevent infections. Copper doesn't. Switch to copper and infection rates rise. The cascade of compromises is just beginning. Every industry that uses silver is going to face the same choice Tesla faced. Downgrade your product or stop producing. Most will choose downgrade. They'll quietly reduce performance and hope the market doesn't notice. But some applications can't downgrade, and those applications will pay whatever it takes, and that's where the price goes parabolic. Let me show you the timeline. Let me show you how fast this unravels. Q1 2026, Tesla switches to copper. Rivian follows, Ford follows. Q2 2026, solar manufacturers announce cost-optimized panels with lower silver content. Translation, lower efficiency. Q3 2026, consumer electronics companies shift to copper traces and circuit boards. Translation, slower devices. Q4 2026, the EV mandates get delayed. Politicians blame supply chains, but don't admit the real reason. 2027, the military and defense contractors absorb all remaining silver supply. Industrial buyers get rationed. 2028, COMEX issues first force majeure. Physical delivery fails, paper and physical markets fully divorce. That's the roadmap. Tesla's copper switch is mile marker 1. We're watching the beginning, not the end. Now let's address the propaganda. Let's address how Tesla is going to spin this. They'll hire consultants. They'll publish white papers. Copper alloy innovation. The future of sustainable EV design. They'll claim copper is better for the environment. Lower mining impact. More recyclable. Greener. They'll claim copper is more cost-effective. Passing savings to consumers, making EVs affordable. They'll claim copper performance is equivalent. New thermal management systems, advanced engineering, no compromise. All of it is misdirection. All of it is damage control. The truth is simple. They couldn't get the silver, so they're pretending copper was the plan all along. And the media will repeat the talking points. Because the media doesn't understand material science. They don't understand conductivity. They just repeat the press release. But the engineers know. The supply chain managers know. And the competitors know. Tesla just admitted defeat, and they're hoping the marketing department can cover it up before the market realizes what happened. Let me show you the signal. Let me show you what this tells you about the silver market. If the most valuable car company in the world, with $25 billion in cash, with Elon Musk's network, with direct access to every major supplier, can't source silver, then the shortage is real. Not theoretical, not coming. Real, right now. The deficit isn't a 2027 problem, it's a 2025 problem. It's happening today. And Tesla's response isn't to stockpile, isn't to secure long-term contracts, isn't to build relationships with miners. Their response is to exit the market entirely, to remove silver from their designs, to surrender. That tells you everything you need to know about the severity. When the solution is, don't use it anymore. The shortage is terminal. Now, let's talk about the other victims. Let's talk about who else is about to bend the knee. Apple. Every iPhone has silver traces, every AirPod charging case, every MacBook circuit board. How long before Apple innovates with copper-based components? Samsung, every TV, every refrigerator, every smartphone, all using silver contacts. How long before they switch? GE. Every wind turbine, every grid component, silver contacts for high voltage switching. Copper can't handle it. So what do? Derate the systems, lower the voltage, reduce the capacity. Siemens. Every industrial motor, every high-efficiency controller. Same problem, same solution. Downgrade and pretend it's progress. The industrial base of the Western world is about to downgrade simultaneously. Performance will fall. Efficiency will drop. Quality will decline. And nobody will connect the dots. Nobody will say, this is all because we can't get silver. They'll blame inflation, supply chains, labor costs, anything but the truth. The truth is, we ran out, and now we're improvising with inferior materials and hoping civilization doesn't notice the decline. Let me show you the final irony. The cruel joke at the heart of this story. Tesla's entire brand is built on performance. Ludicrous mode, Plaid, 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. The fastest, most advanced vehicles on Earth. And now they're downgrading the electrical system, trading the best conductor for the second best, adding weight, reducing efficiency, increasing charging time. All because they couldn't secure a metal that's sitting in vaults doing nothing. All because the paper market pretends there's plenty while the physical market is bone dry. Elon Musk, the richest man alive, just lost a bidding war for silver. Let that sink in. He wanted it. He was willing to pay, and he couldn't get it. If he can't get it, who can? The answer: the entities who secured it years ago. China, the military contractors, the sovereign wealth funds, the players who saw this coming and stockpiled. Everyone else is switching to copper and pretending it was their idea. This is the moment. This is the admission. Tesla switching to copper isn't a cost-saving measure. It's not innovation. It's not optimization. It's surrender. It's the industrial base admitting that the deficit is real, that the shortage is here, that the supply can't meet demand at any price. And when the biggest buyer in the market exits, not because they want to, but because they have to, that's not bearish. That's the signal that the squeeze is so tight, the supply is so constrained, that even unlimited money can't solve it. The flexible demand is leaving. The industrial users are compromising. The applications that can switch are switching. What's left is the demand that can't compromise. The demand that absolutely must have silver, the military, the critical infrastructure, the medical applications, and that demand is about to absorb 100% of the available supply. Tesla's copper switch isn't the end of the silver bull market. It's the beginning of the parabolic phase. Because now we know it's not about price anymore, it's about availability. And availability just became the scarcest commodity on Earth.